on, Sooner Nation. The Kansas City Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. Multiple Sooners now have 3 Super Bowl rings. Others are collecting their championships like Creed Humphrey and Wanye Morris, which you would imagine helps Bill Bedenbaugh out on the recruiting trail because putting out first-round offensive linemen, his offensive linemen are winning Super Bowls, playing meaningful minutes for really impactful teams. Additionally, the Oklahoma Sooners are getting some really good news on the recruiting trail. Guys, we got to dive into all of it. But before we do it, guys, thank you for tuning into the PG Show, where we talk about everything Oklahoma football, anything related to Oklahoma football, which is why we might talk a little Super Bowl here in the future, because I think it has a bigger impact for OU recruiting than a lot of people realize. Additionally, I'm trying to get the 250 likes on this video. A lot of you guys showed out on the last one. We hit a total of, I believe, let me pull up the number, 184 likes on a 1,700 viewed video. Doing well, not quite 250. I challenge you all to hit that like button. Additionally, hit the subscribe button. But let's go ahead and dive into some good news here. And we're going to start with crystal balls, future casts, RPM predictions, whatever they're called differently all throughout the industry, but we're going to call them crystal balls, right? Oklahoma received a couple of them this past weekend from On3's Josh McCuistion. And the first one that I really want to highlight is CJ Nixon. And this has been a recruitment. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you've kind of watched and you've wondered, is it going to be basketball? Will it be football? He's a highly touted edge rusher out of Weatherford, Oklahoma. I believe industry ranked 61. On3 has him ranked as the 45th player. 247 has him at 48. ESPN has him at 91. And Rivals has him as 218. He's got offers from all over the country. Elite offers, right? Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Auburn. And he's even got the in-state offers from Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So for Josh McCuistion to help Oklahoma out here put in this prediction, I feel like you feel pretty good about where Oklahoma stands with CJ Nixon. He was recently on campus for Junior Day, and you would imagine, right, if we're all just taking a guess as fans, you imagine that Kevin Sperry doing his thing out there, and he's out there trying to recruit another in-state guy to come join him in this, what we expect to be a historic class for Oklahoma. But you also saw Josh McCuistion put in another prediction for the 4-star running back Tory Baxter out of Humble, Texas. And I'm not going to try to say the high school because y'all know I'm really bad at pronouncing things, and I don't want to make myself look like a fool on here. But Josh McCuistion puts in one here, and Tory's been slowly gaining those crystal balls and those predictions. I put one in. A couple of other insiders put some in as well the day after the Junior Day, when really there was a lot of momentum there gained, and we all feel Tory Blaylock, right? There is not just momentum there, but there is like legit reasoning for him to be an Oklahoma Sooner. Tory Blaylock also got a prediction from Colin Kennedy. So again, around the industry, people are feeling like this is going to be Oklahoma's running back take in the class. Obviously, you didn't have Michael Turner Jr. on campus for the Junior Day that he was supposed to. He actually ended up at Oklahoma State. That he's out of North Richland, Texas. It's a guy that, listen, if you can get him, you're still taking him, right? Because he's really good. But it's going to come down to between him and Tory Blaylock, it looks like at this point, because it didn't seem like Caden Knighton got an offer. And I would imagine Demarius Robinson, even though he potentially has a lot of upside, the kid out of Edmond Santa Fe, he's probably going to be a PWO if he gets in, if he ends up at Oklahoma. So just something to keep in mind there. But we have to talk offensive line, because this is where the good news is. Or, well, I mean, I guess you can count crystal balls as good news, but this is where I feel like Oklahoma fans are going to expect good news. And I feel like we got to start with Tai Haywood, right? And we'll get into the recent offer for 2026 that was thrown out that I think is actually big and a lot of people are missing. But Tai Haywood, there was recently an article put out, I believe it was On3 that put it out. I mean, they were basically just saying, hey, like Oklahoma and Tai Haywood, they're a thing. And they're progressively moving in the right direction. And there's a lot of people who maybe feel that Tai Haywood could end up at Oklahoma. And you look at this class for Oklahoma on the offensive line, where we expect 5, maybe 6 guys. And I know there's some people out there that think it might be a little less. Guys, I think if you're Bill Bedenbaugh, you're going to go out there and you're going to try to secure your future in the class where you probably have the best relationships with some of the top offensive linemen in the country. Tai Haywood out of Denton, Texas, and Ryan High School, 6'6", 270 pounds, the number 39th overall player in the composite rankings, 60 by 247 Sports, has 29 total offers. He competes in track and field, specifically shot put and discus. Listen, recently got the offer from Michigan. Obviously, Sharon Moore, he does his thing. He is really good at developing offensive line. I believe he's had, is it 2 Joe Moore Award offensive linemen or offensive lines? You guys will have to help me with that down there in the chat and let me know because you guys are really good at pulling up these stats, especially when I don't get them right. But I believe he's had 2 Joe Moore Award offensive lines. So there's something to watch there with Michigan. But gosh, if Oklahoma, if you get Tai Haywood with what you've gotten in Ryan Foje, Owen Hollenbach, obviously you all know I feel really good about Michael Fasusi. And even though he went to Missouri, and I mean, I'll let you guys know, like, I talked to Michael a little bit about that Missouri visit, and hey, like, why were you so high on Mizzou? And really it just came down to, I guess Missouri and some of their coordinators are really good at developing relationships with some of these recruits, which is, he's not the first person I've heard that from. Now, obviously, we all have our jokes and everything that we make with Drink, and I'm not going to say that that stuff's not valid, but if the coordinators are really that good at developing relationships, and yeah, like you see why Missouri makes the impressions that they do. But do I really think Missouri is going to go out there and land a guy like Michael Fasusi out of Lewisville, Texas, who Michael has a teammate and a friend in Jaden Hardy currently on the team who can give him his experiences. And Michael has already been to Oklahoma several times. I don't see that. So if, let's say, you land Tai Haywood and Michael Fasusi, yeah, like those 4 offensive linemen, that's really good. Like, I don't think you're looking at that offensive line class and not looking at it as Bill Bedenbaugh knocked it out of the park. But then you look at some other prospects that he's in on, like a Micah DeBose. You've got Andrew Babaloa out of Overland Park, Kansas, going to be a 5-star, right? Right now he's ranked as a 4-star, but he's the 21st national player. So as those initial star rankings come out, you would imagine Andrew would be a 5-star. Right. So you got him. You got Douglas Utu out of Bishop Gorman, Lamont Rogers out of Mesquite, Texas, where maybe, Texas is in there, going to cause Oklahoma some problem. Guys, I really feel good where this offensive line is trending. And although we had problems this past offseason, I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, you feel really, really good about the future of the offensive line for Bill Bedenbaugh, Brent Venables, and the staff, right? Because you got Seth Luttrell that can help Bill Bedenbaugh now. Like, Seth Luttrell has recruited offensive linemen, and he's done a good job at it. Fabichi Wewu out of North Texas, for instance, right? I think you're going to see offensive linemen come in a little more. Additionally, he's about to put out another first-round pick and Tyler Guyton, and he had Anton Harrison last year. Surely that makes waves on the recruiting trail, right? You guys will let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the chat. But Oklahoma, they also threw out an offer to a 2026 offensive tackle coming in at 6'5", 255 pounds out of Prosper, Texas, in Zaden Kinn. Zaden Kinn is a guy that he's wanted by programs all over the country. And you might be asking me, well, how do you know that? Well, he's got a total of 23 offers so far, and he's a 2026 guy. So you imagine he's probably going to surpass the 30-plus offer threshold that, I mean, I look at it and go, yeah, if you get 30-plus offers, and there are a lot of Power 5 offers and big-time programs, you're elite. He's got offers from Oregon. He's got offers from Penn State, which very good offensive line producing team in the Big Ten. Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M, Missouri, Florida State, Nebraska. Right now, obviously, there's some teams missing in there, like the Georgias and the Bamas. But I still look at some of those ones like Oregon, who I believe the offensive line coach up there is Tony something. He's beat Oklahoma a couple times. He develops a good offensive line. A&M's going to always be a problem. Florida State, Nebraska. I mean, those are big name programs. So Zaden Kinn, one thing that you notice here, right? He's got good footwork. I haven't really studied the film a whole lot to see kind of just how he is with hand placement and things like that. But overall, you see him holding his own. He looks strong. He looks like he's able to play bully ball in the trenches, which if you're Oklahoma, that is something we have talked about for a long time that Oklahoma needs to get better about, building in the trenches. So Oklahoma throws out the offer to Zaden Kinn. They obviously have other offensive line prospects that they're looking at, not only in the 2026 class, but 2027. I was looking at the junior day that they have coming up. They have several offensive tackles slated. You got Jordan Caraway, Peyton Miller, Demarion Johnson, and there's going to be others that pop up on this list too. So Oklahoma fans, where I think we have a lot of questions going into the season about the offensive line and how it's going to develop and how it's going to be put together. Not sure we need to worry about that for the future. I think Bill Bedenbaugh and Seth Luttrell are going to be a great duo. And I mean, does Seth Luttrell take another head coaching job, or does he stay at Oklahoma for a while and really help build this thing up? I think that's going to be the question going forward. But Sooner fans, I want to hear from y'all. So make sure you're joining the discussion, jumping down in the comments below, giving me your thoughts on, I mean, what do you think? Like, is this good news to you about what Oklahoma is doing on the recruiting trail with offensive linemen? And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, because we're trying to get to 250 likes, and then hit the subscribe button. Also, YouTube wants you guys to watch one of these two videos, so make sure you tune in there as well.